Hi, I'm Josh. I'm an enterprise sales engineer in the tech industry, and I give Slack a 5 out of 5. When we were looking for options for internal communication, initially our company was just using email and it wasn't very efficient. So I worked with a team to start looking at internal messaging platforms. We tried Slack, we tried Microsoft Teams, and then we also tried Slack. And the testing process was pretty simple. We had a smaller group of individuals within our company who would test the platforms, and then we would provide feedback to the ultimate decision makers. And the process was really seamless with Slack. It was very easy to download and easy to use, and the team picked it up pretty quickly. And it was actually exciting for us to use. We wanted to use it, which was a little bit unique from the others. The other ones had a little bit more of a learning curve and were not as enjoyable to use, where Slack was really enjoyable. And we were able to test it out with those smaller teams, and then we rolled it out organization wide once we decided that that was the internal communication platform that we wanted to go with. The reasons we went with Slack was first, it clicked with everyone really easily, and we enjoyed using it. We knew that if we wanted to introduce another platform that our internal employees could use to talk to each other, it had to be really easy to use, and Slack was that one. So that was one of the biggest reasons. The other reason was its integrations. So we were using a lot of different software products that integrated really, really well with Slack. For example, we were using Salesforce. So during the testing phase, we were able to set up automations where we had, when we closed a new deal, it posted a message in Slack, directly from Salesforce, and gave us all the deal details. So that was really cool to see. And ultimately, the mobile experience was really easy to download and get to use as well. It's seamless with the desktop experience. When I'm using my mobile app, there's no different UI. It's very seamless, and I'm able to get a lot of communication done on my mobile phone or on my desktop. So people are able to reach me, whether I'm on the go or if I'm on my desktop. After we decided to move forward with Slack, the process of doing that was we had a company wide meeting where we introduced Slack to the team. And we also, before we did that, we outlined some of our policies because we had read, and during our initial discovery phase, we knew that this would be a pretty big change for the team. So we created an internal doc that talked about our policies for Slack. For example, when do you use Slack compared to when do you use an email? What are channels for? What are channels not for? When to use the at here, when to use the at channel. That way, people aren't being bombarded, and we try to create as good of an environment for our team to be able to use that in. So we had a company-wide meeting where we talked about that document, our best practices to be able to use Slack. We walked through the download process both on the mobile app and also on the desktop. And we then went through and we let everyone know that we're going to be having one-on-one meetings with each managers on the different departments. So the team had those trainings with the different managers, help them set up different channels for the different teams to be able to utilize. And then we got feedback from every different channel or every different department head and ask them, what sort of automations could take place within Slack that will help your team be more efficient, and provide them with really useful information. So we got that feedback, and then our director of operations, they went in, programmed a lot of different really cool automations into Slack, and luckily enough, we were able to hit the ground running. It took off very well. The implementation rate was extremely high. People started using it. People moved away from internal emails, and we were able to successfully roll it out to our team. So, some advice that I would give if you're planning on implementing Slack is, I thought we did a great job at coming up with best practices and outlining those. This is definitely a tool that if you don't use correctly, it can become a nightmare and not be very effective and actually do the opposite of what you're planning to do. So come up with rules of engagement, best practices for the team and then roll those out. The other thing that we've done is we added that to our training program. So any new hires, they look over the same document, they get the same training from our team on how to best utilize Slack, the do's and the don'ts. And how it's different from the different channels that we have, like voice communication, email communication, and when to use each of them. So it can add a layer of complexity if you don't control it right and do the proper training. One thing that I wish we had known before is I wish we had jumped on bad behavior quicker. I think it's important to have almost like a Slack advisor or patroller that kind of monitors behavior on Slack and will reach out to individuals if they see poor behavior. We didn't see this necessarily right out of the gates, but people started to develop some bad habits. For example, with channels, we had some people who would post the same exact message on 5 or 6 different channels. That kind of defeats the purpose. So I do think if you have one person who's designated and everyone knows is aware that this person is going to kind of call them out on some bad behavior, that'll help the overall organization and help people trust Slack and not have it turn into something that they dread using and there's all this bad behavior around it.